how is the use of plastic materials in offshore oil drilling connected? So plastic is actually made in part from petroleum. And so one of the reasons why we're constantly pulling fossil fuels out of the environment, out of the ocean, is to make more plastic, which then winds up in the ocean and is consumed by marine life, which we then eat, and we wind up ingesting unhealthy toxins and petroleum. So it's all interconnected, and all of it needs to be regulated more. And offshore oil drilling in Santa Cruz would potentially be disastrous for our local economy, for our environment, and for companies like ours who are trying to build a business out of surfing.
And in the kelp forest. So I'm taking this.
Keep your oil out of our kelp forest. That's right.
1969 was an oil spill in Santa Barbara. It was the third largest still to date oil spill in the United States. And it was a disaster for local marine life and for beaches. We can't have that happen again. It's ugly and it's potentially harmful for the environment. There's actually tar all over the beaches in Santa Barbara.
We're at Carmel Beach and pretty sure this is tar.
On January 5th of this year, President Trump proposed a plan to expand oil drilling off the coast of California. This caused an uproar as leaders up and down the coast spoke up. Their voices were heard by many people of the public.
No justice, no peace. No oil on our beach. No justice, no peace. No oil on our beach. No justice, no peace.
Ain't no power like the power of the ocean, cause the power of the ocean don't stop.
Nothing compared to the power of people when united. So let's keep that unity going. Let's fight Chevron and all the other oil companies. We did it in Richmond, and if we could do it in Richmond with the Chevron of millions trying to defeat us, we could do it everywhere, including Chicago.
One of the groups that spoke up was Plastic Tides.
Okay, I'm here in the line for the BOEM meeting to go in and make a public comment. They're just starting to let people into the meeting now.
You know, Plastic Tides was born out of a desire for us to combine, passion for water sports, adventure, the outdoors, the ocean, with sustainability, conservation, and just generally the knowledge that we need to protect our playground. And I studied at Cornell University along with Celine, studied sustainability, and once you know a certain amount about what we're doing to the planet, it's really hard to not dedicate yourself to try and do something about it. So yeah, man, that's where we came from for Plastic Tides, and plastic is a really good entry point. That's really tangible. It's really ubiquitous in everyday life, and so it's a good place to start the conversation with people to change their habits around plastics, then also start to explore other areas of sustainability. And just learn about all the different things that we can do to lead a more sustainable lifestyle. Have our cauliflowers, and this is actually specifically designed as a sandwich wrap. And this is a beeswax wrap, and I love putting square sandwiches in them. It's so good. It is a paddler's lunch right there.
Want another whip? Do you wanna test me? The scars are coming in. You know where you have been. I feel
Plastic Tides also happens to be one of the many groups pushing for perennial agriculture, which is an integral part of an evolving society.
Agriculture is basically a form of agriculture that's very diverse. So in the face of climate change, we have sort of odd weather patterns that, you know, we can't foresee, and a regenerative perennial agriculture system is one that basically uses mostly tree crops and perennial shrubs, and obviously offers a diverse array of plants for us to eat. And so, you know, communities that rely solely on agriculture now have, you know, a diverse system, and so they don't rely on one cash crop, which is really important, because if one year there's a drought, or if one year there's a flood or a pest, well, you know, with regenerative agriculture, they can basically have this sort of security system where they can rely on other crops. And so regenerative agriculture is basically, our current system relies on monocrops, on which we pour fertilizers and pesticides. And most in the US, you know, we're mostly growing corn and soy and wheat, and this is not sustainable. We need a diverse system that basically mimics the natural forest ecosystem and provides an array of different crops, as well as maybe fibers for textile or medicine, and also in a forest you have lots of biodiversity, right? And so that's why perennial regenerative agriculture is much better than the current agricultural system that most of our food comes from.
Patagonia also happens to be making moves towards perennial agriculture. Recently, Patagonia released a long root ale made with perennial grain. They believe that the future of agriculture will rely on perennial agriculture. This method of growing could help decrease agricultural plastic consumption. The agricultural industry uses roughly 9 million pounds of plastic annually. A large part of this has to do with the start of new seasonal crops. Through regenerative agriculture, we could greatly cut down the agricultural industry's use of plastic. So, do you need a paddleboard all the way from Santa Cruz to Monterey to make a difference? It would be nice, but not necessarily. Here are a few things that you could do to help decrease the amount of plastic getting into our ocean.
What would I suggest for consumers to eliminate the amount of plastic? I think one of the easiest is definitely eliminating straws and actually not serving them in restaurants or to go. We don't really need them, and they're the biggest problem of plastic in the environment. And then also just things like reusable bags, reusable water bottles, all of that's just going to decrease the amount of plastic that we are using and going out into the ocean, because as plastic breaks down, even when it's gone and you can't see it, it breaks into really small pieces called microplastics, which we're finding a lot of animals are ingesting or filtering in if they're filter feeders. So even if you can't see the plastic, it might still be there, and it's still affecting marine animals in the environment.
I think the most important thing for consumers to do in order to create change is to actually look at what they're really buying. Look at the impact of producing the materials they're buying, as well as the packaging that's involved with it.
Want another whip? Do you wanna test me? The scars